All right. Today is what?
July 7th.
July 7th?
Yes.
Happy belated 4th, everybody. As you can see, we're sitting here on a show that's about McDonald's game. We're eating our McDonald's, and we got enough for everybody.
Enjoying it.
Don't have to worry about nobody throwing it out because it's only enough for one.
Ungrateful ass.
We got Big Rick to my right, Music Monk to my left, Rashid Muhammad to the far left.
What's up?
And Hoos is on the couch. He's guarding the McDonald's bag. He's actually the McDonald's whisperer. He's the one that bought the McDonald's.
That's right.
We got some IPA too. So we're gonna really actually get to have a beer and a conversation today. For those out there in TV land, can I get that link? Thank you. And you know what? I haven't had a McDonald's burger in quite a while.
Hey man, you know what? I was just thinking that, right? Like I swore. Like, you know, I I be a fucking food snob about that shit, right? Be like, McDonald's, man, I eat that shit. You can leave that shit out for a month, it look the same. You know what I mean? But when I bit into that shit just now, I was like, fuck the Monsanto pesticides, you know what I mean? Fuck the pink slime, you know what I mean? Like
that good
shit
old
was
grade.
Bruh, that shit,
right.
Bruh, that's Z
All
meat,
that
bruh. That's
went out
that
the
Z.
Like it was
You know what I mean?
a ribeye.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I mean,
There's some people who are who really were, you know, if you have the right incentive, you can really enjoy McDonald's. Believe it or not, and you know, I feel bad for that young man. And
I don't.
you don't?
Nah.
I don't even know what we're talking about.
Nah, we talking about McDonald's Gate.
McDonald's Gate.
So we're gonna break it down for you real quick. So
And
this is
right
totally
before we get into
trifling.
it, I gotta get more trifling.
What you about to do with it? What you about to do with it? Because I didn't think you could get more trifling than them fucking eyelashes, them bat wings. That was them snuffleupaguses that Shawty had. She talking about feed my other kids. But go ahead, what you got?
Yeah, so, you know, and I ain't gonna go too much into it. I had a friend I had talked to, and they told me, they were like, you know what, and maybe you need to talk about some of your posts, because I've been getting attacked on posts, and people think that I'm sneak dissing them. And I think that I'm gonna take 1 or 2 minutes to address that. I don't sneak diss. I call people out, particularly. And thank you.
That was well timed in the
Let me tell you
motherfucker.
something. A year ago today, I was in the hospital, man, down in Florida. These motherfuckers told me to get ready to go into hospice care. I don't care what people think about me. I don't have to sneak diss anybody. The only reason that I won't say names today is because I have to write a book on my life, and I can't charge people money for it if they get the information for free. You know, but I want to be very clear about something. The thing that I says particularly about, well, you know, oh, and I'm sorry, man. Hold on. We got the brother Daryl Collins on Zoom.
DC.
What's up, fellas? Thanks for having me.
Salute.
Good show.
All the way from Dallas, Texas.
Oh, not the Big D.
Already.
Great
Yeah.
show.
But I want to be clear about some things. You know, I say things, and I know who I'm talking about, and I was very clear to the people that I was talking to who were in my business when I said the things that I said. And what I said was, you don't know what you're going to do until you're in that situation. Which kind of leads into the discussion that we were talking about. Hey, quick question, just a little riddle / trivia. Do you know what the average and most worn shoe size amongst men is?
10.5.
Nah.
Damn, you good. It's 10.5. I looked it up. It's 2 versus 1. Sorry. You know, he was though. Damn, that was pretty good. I wear 12.
Football is a game of inches.
12.
You wear 12? I'm a 12. What about you?
12.
12?
Yeah.
What about you?
What's my shoe size?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was catching up on McDonald's Gate. Like 11 and a half, something like that.
Well,
What kind of shoes you got on?
Nike.
Justice, what size shoe you wear?
12.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, see.
All right, so, hey, Daryl, what size shoe you wear?
11 and a half, I guess that makes me a wimp.
Well,
No,
You know,
he said that.
but here's, I mean, I'm playing jokes. So what happens is, okay, the average, do you know what the average woman's size shoe is?
7.5.
Damn, you.
Hey, okay. Fair enough. This full transparency. I sold shoes and kids shoes for like I ran a Journeys and a Journeys Kids for a bit for a few years, long enough to know when a young lady came in, the easiest way to get her number was to be like, I know your shoe size without measuring it. So I just got good at that shit.
You're
just real
good.
talk. Yeah.
You're really good. Now here's the point. So when I say the things that I say, my network is so vast, man. I grew up going to the schoolhouse. I went to the church house. I've been working at the warehouse. I went to Morehouse. I done been to the dope house. I done been to the jailhouse. My network is much vaster than what people think that it is. So I don't want people to flatter themselves and begin to think that I'm talking about them, because the scope of their reality and their circle is very small in comparison to mine. Now, there are some things that I said deliberately about some people, and I meant the hell out of that shit. You know what I mean? So the reason I'm bringing that up is because shoe size 10.5, shoe size 7.5. So we're clear. So we're not being. The problem is that there are so many things that I can say about somebody else that you don't know about that also fit your damn size, because that's what you are. So I can see why you would be upset about that. Okay? So when I said you don't know what you're going to do till you get in it, you don't know who I was talking about or what I was saying. But I said I would never marry a woman with kids, and I married a woman that got 2 kids. So let's get into the stepdaddy show about McDonald's Gate. Go ahead.
Okay. Hey, man, you know what? Real talk. So remember when Return of the G came on, and Andre came out swinging? He's like set the standard for that shit. You just came out swinging on some Andre shit, man. You just kind of just like, hey, man, you ain't missed no words. So for real, man, like, is this what our culture has been reduced to? Like, I mean, let's just kind of start with that right there, right? So we're talking about a young man, and the reason why earlier I said I don't feel sorry for this young man is because, nigga, it's dick control. Like, she had 3 kids already, and you were playing back and forth with it. So in a sense, you kind of set the expectation. Was she also entitled? Yes, she was. But at the same time, y'all playing trifling games, and y'all look like some trifling assholes on the trifling fucking internet. So I don't really have like no sympathy for them, because they both look stupid. You know what I mean? And then she looks even stupider. You know what I'm saying? Coming on there with them eyelashes, complaining about my baby ain't, you know what I'm saying, my other 3 kids ain't got no McDonald's. Like, you wearing the McDonald's. So, I mean, a lot can be said, you know what I mean? I kind of just went to about 3 or 4 good solid points on that ass, you know what I mean? So anybody can chime in. Feel free.
Yeah, I mean, and so to that point, I mean, I definitely would like to say, while it could have been a scam, I've heard a lot of things about it. I mean, a lot of different point of views. As a man, and this is why we're having this discussion, is cover your ass at all times, right? You know, and if you just go to my page and you look at some of the things I post about, this is a show about holding men accountable and male empowerment. And the fact that we are in a situation where I'm posting, I just want you to just look at the posts behind the things I have put on social media and look at the responses and look at the relevance of the response to what it is that I'm posting. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Just look at what's being said with regards to what I'm posting. And are these things even congruent? Do the things that people post have anything to do with what it is that I said in the initial post? They're not. I'll let the viewers decide that. Thank you, Lamont. I appreciate you, my brother. Talked to a lot of good brothers this week. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Now, I'm gonna tell you, as a stepfather, as I was at that time, and I still care about them babies. You know, you cannot, and I did not. I mean, if I bought Taylor School clothes, I bought them too. I gave them all the same, even in a destitute state that I was in. Okay, I would take Taylor and Francine in the store. I got both of them sneakers. I don't see a scenario as a man. Now, whether this actual McDonald's gate is real or not, I can't see a scenario as a man where you get with a woman and then you're going to treat your child differently. Daryl Collins is calling in from Dallas, and he will tell you a little bit, well, he zoomed in about some of things that he have experienced growing up as a stepson to, well, I'm going to let him speak because I don't know if he would even classify himself as that.
I grew up in a situation where, you know, my mother had a husband, but I don't accept him as a stepfather. The reason is because, you know, I feel like in order for a man to be a stepfather, he has to, Laris, you've been in a relationship with children. You love that woman, right? And so as a man that loves that woman, you love that which he holds the most dear, which is her children, just like they were your own. It's automatic. Like, you don't even have to try to do that because that's the only way you can make the relationship work. But in my case, you know, the man that my wife, my mom married wasn't really, he was pretty absent. I don't know his favorite color. I don't really know much about him, and so I don't really expect, you know, I don't view him as my stepfather, but I think that, you know, the reason why I had clarity on that is because I became a stepfather myself, and I had to see, you know, I love this woman. Her son's a little bit older than what, first of all, like you, I told myself I would never date a woman with children, and I did anyway. I mean, you can't place all the expectations on who you're gonna fall in love with, or your dating pool becomes extremely small because, I mean, we're at the age where most people have children, you know? And so, but during my experience of being a stepfather, you know, I had to create a relationship with a young man who knows his dad, but he tells me he loves me. You know what I'm saying? Because I invested that time into him. He was struggling in high school, and you know, I was the one getting up every Saturday, driving him 35 minutes or 40 minutes away to go to a tutor so he could graduate high school. You know, he decided, right now, he's in Vietnam, he's in the Air Force, but he thought he wanted to be a Marine. I've got, you know, prior military experience myself. I'm like, that's not the avenue you want to go down. And so, you know, you have to invest in those relationships in order for your core relationship to work as a stepfather. That's all I got on that.
And I mean, like I said, I mean, the fact that you were a stepfather, you do understand the importance of inclusion. My father, who you have related to as being more of a father figure to you, which is kind of going in the direction of the communal impact that has to happen because of the shortage of fathers, was fathered more by his stepfather. And we don't know the reasons. I don't want to get into that. I'm not going to say anything negative about my grandfather. You know, what I can say is that when he arrived back on the scene of my father's life, he picked up the baton and became a great grandfather to us. Wouldn't you agree with that, Justice?
Yes.
You know, and so, and then as he passed, his brother, Alvin Hodges, did the same thing and picked up where he left off. You know, and so I want to be clear that about the fiduciary duty. The whole discussion is about, at times, regardless of circumstances we find ourselves in, there has to be somebody, a coach, a teacher, a barber, somebody in these young men's life who will value them, show them value, make them feel included and not excluded. Because there is, as we know, there's long-term damage psychologically associated with that. You know, so you gentlemen are free to comment and do your thing.
So
Well, if you just give me a moment to chime in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, just going back off, the reason why I laid the foundation for all of that is because I'm one of those damaged individuals. And for your dad to have his stepdad come into his life, which is going right with the conversation, that man did a hell of a job, because your dad, not only did he have a drastic impact on my life, but he's impacted the community. Like, there's other people that are our peers that look at your dad like a father figure. Your dad took me to church on Sundays. You know what I mean? He showed me, you know, that a man can come from, you know, a little bit of something to a whole lot of something. You can grow as long as you know, work hard and grind. And I mean, he showed me some of the things that I needed to see. He was a very positive role model in my life, and I'll always thank him for that. I mean, there's a difference. There's differences between me and my siblings that are from that quote unquote stepdad that I had, and that's their real father. And I think that the difference is they had that absent father, which was their biological father, but I had your dad to look up to. So.
Right. I understand. I think a lot of times these men are not being in their situations. They're not given a full opportunity to raise these young gentlemen. These young gentlemen, when sometimes when you get into these households with women, they don't want to look at the fact that now you're in the household. They like, I ain't gonna listen to him. F that nigga. Ooh, I got my own daddy. So a lot of times it'd be hard for brothers to come in and step in these situations. And then the situation is you get in with the woman and the woman give you rules. Well, this is my child, he has his daddy, this is such going on, and this is what I want you to go by. So I think all in all, we need to start getting where the real daddies are starting to step up and being more in the house than out of the house. It's hard raising kids from out the house.
Yes, sir.
And expect to be
So, you know, I respect where everyone is coming from, and I definitely I definitely can understand the sentiments. I will say that, you know, some things are being hit on, but, you know, obviously when we're talking about our elders, like, they came up in a different situation where it was a lot more feasible to step in. Now, you still had the human condition that no one can overcome, right? So you still had like relationship dynamics that you had to create. But also at the same time, you did not have social media. You did not have the technology that you have today. And just to be honest, you know, going to an earlier point, there are a lot of beautiful women out here that do not have children. I think that if you expand your scope, and if that's what you really want, it's amazing what you can see when you decide what not to look at. You know what I'm saying? So you like, okay, cool. Like, I want to attract this particular type of young lady. You can do that. You don't have to subscribe to the notion that just because we're at this age that, you know, that they are not, because they are. Like, I specifically look for those women. And if I do happen to meet a young lady that does have a child, you know, I'm going to ask questions, because it's not just the child, it's the relationship with the child's father. And Laris, you know this. I've asked you questions about this, you know, in and out throughout us building our brotherhood over the years, just about those dynamics behind the scene that you can't necessarily get the real honest truth from a young lady all the time. You know what I mean? So it's a huge gamble for a man to come in there. Like, look at Zion Williamson. that man, that's his stepfather taught him how to play basketball. When he was drafted number 1, that man wasn't up there on the stage with him. And I'm not saying that you do it for that, but what I'm saying is that it's okay to have your experience. But I think by and large, our community at this stage, we're not having those experiences. We're having like chaotic blending of these relationships that are ending very, very bad.
Of course, and so the purpose of the discussion is to, as Daryl had highlighted earlier, to shine light on the fact that at our age, let me just say this: men can settle down at 25, men can settle down at 30. I would probably say that a man is not even close to settling down until about 30, between 35 and 40.
That's what us.
True.
I mean,
25, he's still playing video games.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
got nothing on his mind but video games and
Yeah,
smoking weed.
I was riding motorcycles 180 miles an hour, my nigga.
If you're arriving at a point of seriousness at 35 to 40, and you want somebody that you can actually have a discussion with, that you guys can work together, there's a very good chance that she's gonna have a child already. It doesn't, and it's not always, but there's a good chance. And so we have to talk about these dynamics. And I think that sometimes, when I talked to a young lady today, very bright young lady, 30 years old, and she's beginning to see what I have been saying. A lot of women have, and I'm not a liar. People may not like what I have to say, but with the unreliability and the stick-to-itness, I have people that send me hate mail, man. You know what I mean? And because the reality of things is that they are really what they are. So that's why when I say, look at some of these posts, I want you to take a good look at these posts. And I want you to see the responses that I get based off of the posts and how they don't even align with each other. And I'm not putting anyone down, but I mean, the reality of things is that women have, because men whistle and grunt at them, they think that there's a lot of value to that. There's a lot of men that will sleep with you, but who will buy the cow? Everybody will take the milk and say what they have to say to take the milk. And so I don't understand how anybody could find themselves in a situation where they're not looking at the whole picture. They're looking at what they want and what their perceived value on the market is, and they're not looking at the fact that if you are a single mother and you come across a man that is willing to be in the child's life and not
the bell lit. Where's the fucking?
I don't understand that. I don't understand why that. I mean, I guess there's this thought that these men who would actually care and not be molesters and not be, you know what I mean? Because that there's an element of that too. Like right. that these men, these good men who can and will do, like in the Zion Williams case, are just raining from trees somewhere.
Let me,
and I don't. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Look. If I had the bell, man, it'd be on fire right now, like for real. Nah, but like I said, it's well. Let me introduce the vetting process is very, very important. Like that discernment, chasing excellence as a man, holding yourself accountable, not looking for someone to save you. You will be better equipped to approach these situations, and you'll be more educated and more wise in your walk as you approach. Because I know what you're saying. Like, I mean, when I hit 38, 39, 40, it was like shit just started clicking. You know what I'm saying? And when it clicks like that, you feel, it's almost like, for me, like I said, I mean, I ride motorcycles. If you buy a brand new bike, anybody that rides motorcycles, the first 600 miles, the engine sounds like shit. Then all of a sudden, that shit just settles in. Like, you can feel it. And that's kind of how it feels, or like the perfect jump shot, or like catching a touchdown or something. You know what I mean? Like, you just settle into your divine masculinity, if we want to use those terms, right? You know what I mean? To appeal to everyone, right? That's the only way it makes sense to take a gamble like that, because you have the full scope of understanding the risk versus and as well as the rewards. But what we're seeing in the case of McDonald's Gate, to keep it on topic, is how people just blindly go in situations, and when the shit blows up, you want to run to social media, and now everyone looks like an asshole. Like, let's have the real conversations. You know what I mean?
Conversations bring about accountability, and unfortunately,
you only heard her side of the story. You didn't hear his side of the story.
But it's okay, because as a tribe of men, I don't need to hear his side of the story, because I can already tell where he went wrong. From, you know what I'm saying, from a point of mentorship. You got involved with a woman that had 3 children by X amount of men. You came in playing Santa Claus, and you knew what you were dealing with. You have to stand in that right there first. Like, yeah, it's embarrassing, but stand in that, and then you can learn how to avoid those type of situations in the future. Maybe it's not wise to deal with the woman that has multiple children, who has those lashes and that makeup on. And I'm not trying to disparage her, but what I'm saying is there's a particular ilk that comes with that, a behavior that comes with that.
So you're saying that, was they still together?
Apparently they were not together, because he was just coming over there to drop off the food for his child.
It's school time, and I buy my son a backpack and school stuff, school supplies, and some shoes and stuff, and I don't get the other one nothing, I'm wrong.
What I'm saying is that it ain't about wrong or right. It's about how you got in the situation to be splitting hairs like that. That's the whole point. You shouldn't even be in a position to where you got to split a fucking McDonald's meal in the first place.
But how many women you know where you ain't gonna split no hairs like that? Almost every woman in the black community is like that.
Brother, I would be very cautious, because I'll have to personally disagree, because I know that there are some amazing black women out there that are ready to have a good man in their life.
I believe that.
So we can't make those generalizations, because that's what creates the divisiveness and creates this adversarial conversation. It ain't really about that. I'm sticking to the nigga not having no dick control, because you saw a cute girl, you hollered at her, and you was like, I don't give a fuck if you got 3 kids, I'm just trying to hit that ass. And then you end up having a baby with her, and now you see the consequences of just picking up a chick at wherever just based on how she look. Now you embarrassed on the fucking internet. It ain't even really about her. It's about you.
But do we know that's the situation? Do we know the circumstances behind how they got together?
We don't need to know
what he knew about her.
We can only go about
when they got together.
We can only go about we can only use the immediate projection of what is provided via content on the internet. So I'm not saying that we have all the details, but I can only go what they put up there. And what they put up there, if we're talking about the men, that's what you get when you move like that.
Yeah, Rashid's number one rule is don't project. Let's not fill in gaps that we don't know about.
Or what? Okay, you can't read. We can't. Daryl, we're gonna resume you in a second, because you know the rules.
Gotcha.
Yeah. What you're saying, Vera, would be true. I'm not saying it's not. It certainly looks bad. But I think it's possible to be stuck in that. And again, I missed I don't even know precisely what the topic is right the seconds I was actually looking at the video. And excuse me. I mean, look, the damage is done, right? Like, the kid exists. the kid exists with a woman who's not perfect, and certainly has a set of expectations. For me, the introspection is like, how do I manage this going forward? Clearly, the way you manage it going forward is to come and pick up your kid, and if you want to feed him some McDonald's or whatever, you do that like that. Clearly, she's got other expectations. That's fine. You just work around those expectations. He tried to do that. He tried to like pivot to that. She's like, no, nigga. She was like, you already here, so you're gonna have to listen to this. I do feel somewhat sorry. I agree. You got to be accountable for your actions. I do feel sorry for the fact that he's kind of like caught up in that situation, which, again, I have dated, when I was 19 years old, I dated a woman with a child. That's the only time in my life I've dated a woman with a child. Not because I've necessarily been avoiding it. That's just how it's shaken out. And I know that stuff can get complicated. And it's funny because, You know, so I know we talked about the Roe v. Wade thing a while back, but when I was walking up here, I was listening to a podcast about it, and there was this conversation where it was like a libertarian, a conservative, and kind of a constitutional expert, and the conservative was just like, you see all these women on social media, they're like, oh, well, now you're going to have to, I need proof of vasectomy and yada, yada, yada before, we have sex. And she's like, you act like this is a bad thing, right? You act like you're actually like, what you're saying is that you're actually like putting some standards on your relationship.
That you should have had, from day one.
And I think that's a lot of the, so these situations like this, perhaps, it'll be interesting to see how this stuff works in a world where there's a less liberal consensus around that sort of thing. There's less of a ex post facto way of dealing with these types of interactions.
I think attention is currency. Shit. And I think that first and foremost. So to your point, I agree. In certain scenarios, we shouldn't speak and project if we don't have the facts, like real shit going on in the world. But it's called McDonald's Gate, and the only thing that we have is based on like a social media upload from one person. When people are very trivial in how they do things, I feel like as social scientists and as cultural scientists up here, we can pick them apart on the merit that they present to us. Like, they're not presenting to us with some standard, some metric of professionalism. They just, they're just articulating the best way that they can through a very simple mechanism. I'm gonna pick you apart for that shit because you don't present well. When you do present well, you know what I mean? Like, it's a different story. So I feel like that's fair game in the scape of amateurism.
JoJo,
I think it's fair game to talk about what we see, but there was a lot of talk about what we didn't see and what we didn't know. We were filling a lot of gaps there, and that's all I'm really getting at.
I agree.
Oh, I'm sorry. Pause
good,
for the
bro.
call. What did you say, JoJo?
No, he didn't call back in yet. He didn't come back in.
So what should he do? Oh, okay. He just has to hit the same link. Okay. All right. Okay, good. Y'all go ahead.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. So I mean, if we're talking about accountability from black men, a continued progression of accountability, then we have to look at this young brother and say, hey, you need to find better ways to mitigate and stop being so sloppy with how you approach parenting or co-parenting with this young lady, because you see what you're working with. So have your scheduled time, as you to your point, Rashid. Have your scheduled time and do all the things that you want to do with him, but then also understand that because you decided to have a baby with this woman, there will be certain times when it will be apropos for you to step in and do certain things within the scope of your budget. It's not like you got to do it all the time. Don't set that expectation, but do it to where it's a genuine, where it comes across genuinely, so that kind of calms her down a little bit. Like, hey, I'm doing it when I got it. You see, it ain't no beef. And when I don't have it, it won't be as much of an issue. So it's all about compromise and diplomacy.
How we know we didn't do that before?
We don't know, but I'm making a suggestion as a mentor in the community of what he should do to not be put on the fucking internet no more and having us speculate about this shit.
Well, it's also worth noting that the kid is living with the mother. We know that that's the norm. But I mean, certainly the burden, and again, but we don't. I'm assuming, like, I don't know this, so I'm just asking, or somewhat speculating that, like, it's certainly, we know that that's usually the case, that the kid lives with the mother. This appears to be the case here, and I mean it could certainly be argued that the financial burden he has around supporting his child is not what it would be if it were otherwise, and so an argument could be made that. If she takes care of that kid, and again, I don't know what kind of child support. I'm assuming everything's equal here. So let me just say that. So I'm somewhat breaking my own rule here.
You know what? My ear perked up a little bit, but you are my mentor, so I'm going to take notes.
Well, all right, we're just acknowledging it. I'm just acknowledging that I'm someone breaking my rule here, but I'm just saying that. And again, I'm trying to, if we're gonna like really try to explore this sort of stuff, let's explore it all the way. And I think one question just becomes, if I've had a child with a kid who's got kids with other dudes, my child is staying with her. Does the fact that, like, and again, I mean, I don't know, maybe he's paying child support. I don't know what that story is. But I think the question is, is it unreasonable for there to be some sort of expectation or higher expectation of him not just dealing with that one kid if she's the one that's like taking care of that kid and taking the burden of living with that kid every day?
That is a reasonable assumption, right? And let's just say that, you know, let's just say that he is paying child support. Mm-hmm. And let's say that no one else is paying child support, because there's so many different combinations when you're talking about all of these kids. Right. Like there's multiple combinations of who's paying, who's not paying, and the burden of someone who, and I'm not saying that you have to look sloppy, but when it looks like you're still trying to play like a very urban or very young, you know, FOMO, you only live once type of lifestyle, and you have these kids, that's where people start to look at you like you trifling. Mm-hmm. Because you're not presenting yourself as someone, and I'm not saying that there's a particular look, but what I'm saying is that there's enough old school isms out there for people to look at you and say that you not fitting the decorum of how you should be behaving in general because you have these children. So like I said, the burden lies on both of them to just be better people. And hopefully there's a situation where there is involvement and maybe all of them can actually have real conversations if they aren't dipping here, dipping there, because that's 3 men or 4 men that she has to have constant communication with. And I know from experience, a lot of times these girls are not, and these men are not, and these guys are not necessarily ready to separate sexually from, you know. So I mean, there's a lot that can be unpacked, but there's so many unknown variables. Yes. We can only speak hypothetically on what to avoid when you're coming into these situations.
Okay, so to your point, I think that what everybody's saying is very true. I don't think that anybody has missed anything. Timothy said we are fucked as a people.
Damn.
Okay.
Look,
I think this is increasingly not just a black problem.
It's true. It's a Western world problem.
Well, we are doing something.
I think we're looking at some of us looking at the outside.
Well, look,
from the inside looking out or something, because these situations, if you ain't in this type of environment and listening to these type of people, then you don't know what's going on. You're looking at it from the outside and trying to say you got some women out there that's did some trifling stuff, and then all of a sudden she want to put it on the media like she's super good, or she did something.
That's what I feel like happened with this.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, you want to make him look like the enemy, and now we need to talk about young men and how they being approaching women and shit. But sometimes some women you can't approach with the good.
Well, what we're doing down at the GOP headquarters.
Where the bell at? Shots fired, goddamn. Shots fucking fired.
We cannot.
What about the twerking? Never mind. We never talk about the twerking.
We can't change the behavior. We cannot change the mentality. Our goal is to appeal to the powers that be to show them how disadvantageous it is to continue to lend government help.
Right.
Now, I think that everybody should be a maverick and they should be strong and do what they want to do. But what we're doing is controlling one variable, because the Republicans actually want the same, that the traditional and fundamental Republicans want the same thing that the new wave of conservative black Republicans want, as they want head of household. And so what's happening is, like King said, what does he say? Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. I said it last week. The most dangerous mall in Metro Atlanta is Buckhead, Lenox, Phipps Plaza. Now it has become their problem. And this has beget an opportunity for us black men, because they don't believe in these social programs anyway. Let people do what they want to do, but do not use the government as a way to incentivize uncooperative behavior. Yeah. That is my mission, and I work every day, because every day that I do that, I'm protecting y'all. And y'all don't even know it. I just had a show last week where I asked the girl, I said, okay, hey, they make abortions illegal? Men should not have to. Women should, if they decide to get an abortion, they shouldn't go to jail, right? Doctors shouldn't go to jail if they perform them. Doctors shouldn't use a license if they perform them. I said, what about black men? Should they go to jail? Now, I don't know what they thought, but I know what they said, and they both said no. Because there's no way that you can sit here in my face and say that it's okay under these circumstances. So when I go to the GOP and I present to the GOP and we have solutions, we have alternatives. We're not saying force anybody to be with anybody. We're saying that the government will not be a bailout system if you get upset and want to use it as a conduit for revenge. Now, you can do what you want to do. Because if you defund, as I've told these people, if you defund the family courts and upfund the police officers, you can be the hero. You can look like the hero here. Because the police officers get paid more, you know, and the teachers get paid more, and their job becomes easier because you're not incentivizing separation, you're incentivizing let's stay together. Because when the backlog on that child support get to where it ain't but 2 people in that office and you can't get your benefits for 2 or 3 years, after about 8 months, you're gonna go back and say, hey man, can we talk about this again? Listen to what I'm saying. This is very serious. Dr. Clark White at Morehouse told me something years ago. I'm telling y'all how real this is. He said that all it takes is for a few educated Negroes to get fucked over, and things begin to change.
I don't
You know what I
believe
mean?
that educated Negroes are not getting fucked over in the system. I mean, because there are plenty of white dudes that get fucked over in the system.
Well, they tired too.
Well, I'm saying I haven't seen a whole lot of change. I guess what I would say there is that like the fundamental issue is just that
the government need to get out of our business.
Well, I mean, so you know, I am always the less government, the better. So let's just get that. Let me get that out on the table right now. That's what I generally believe. The less government, the better.
The less fucking government, the better.
But having said that, I think part of the problem is that, you know, so yes, we know that government can't legislate solutions to everything. And that the fundamental issue at the bottom of so many issues in our country is really a social decay in general. And it manifests itself in a number of ways. But one of the ways that I think it most profoundly shows itself is through just a general inability to resolve conflict. Whether that's conflict in a male-female relationship, whether it's a conflict in a male-male relationship, whether it's a conflict between parents and children.
But if the law favors one side, they'll never be. It's till when it ain't nobody here but me and you.
The problem is that horse is so far out the barn for so many people. That I don't know. Again, I'm always down. Look, if you want to cut some government programs, you generally have my support on that. But what I'm saying is that, like, but you know, you can't legislate the solutions to some of these problems. I don't know that you can unlegislate the solutions either. And I see what you're saying. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to shut up. You know, the fundamental issue is moral hazard, right? Moral hazard is just the idea that we don't pay the full costs for our actions. That we're able to kind of offload those costs on other people. So yes. I can see the through line of what you're saying, which is that, like, if you're in a shitty relationship, instead of like doing the work to like work things out and make sure that, you know, you have a steady relationship with the other person so that you can be financially stable, the fact that you can just go to the government means that you have less of incentive to do that, right?
And then when they cutting the police funding, they're only cutting the police funding in the black communities. And black communities are the ones that ain't getting paid the police.
Your boy in Cleveland was shot in 2012. The 137 shots, 137 on Netflix. Check it out. I did watch it.
137.
The car backfired. So we get talking about Brittany Griner over there in Russia. Brittany Griner is going to come out in support of black men. I watch and see what happens. Because when black women have to suffer the consequences of just being alive the way that black men have to, his car backfired and he was shot there was 137 shots fired. Because his car, you can't even afford as a black man to have your car malfunction at the wrong time. They thought it was a shot fired. Hold on. At the time, the average police officer was getting paid, the starting salary was $38,000 a year. Now, think about that. Now we got something to bring to the Republicans because they say defund this, pay the police more because they don't want to defund the police. But anybody who will take a job like that for $38,000 is just a fool with a gun because you cannot pay your bills with that money. So we are wasting our time anyway. That is far too dangerous of a job for $38,000. And so now Brittany Griner sits in a jail in Russia, pissed at Joe Biden and the Biden administration because she had some oils. And then when you find yourself in the perils that black men find themselves in, where you're sitting in a cell like, I'm sitting here because of this shit, that is something that is very foreign.
For no
I
reason.
will not tell you the name of the female who is running for State Senate, Republican, black female in the state of Georgia. And I had a discussion with her. And she said, we need to rid our neighborhoods of crime. And I said, the criminals are not locked up. I said, would you like to know who's locked up? And 90% of the men in Fulton County are locked up for something that have to do with a woman. The killers are running free. You see what I'm saying? So, and the fact that she didn't know that, I said, can you go 18 years and not have a bad financial year? And she said, I've gone plenty of years and I had a bad financial year. And I was like, oh no, if you're a black man with a child, no, you cannot have one bad year. So some things got to change, but now because it's become their problem too, now they willing to listen. And they getting tired of being mouthed at. So they like, shit, we'll work with you like we storming the beach in Normandy like World War II. I'm telling you, there are some opportunities there, and if you think that it's just men, you're wrong. My biggest supporters, if you go on my page, likes and comments, are women. Because they tired of the shit too. You know what I mean? They are sick and tired because there are good women out here. There are a lot of good women out here. And they are tired of this foolishness too. You know, there are women who get up and they go to work and they want a decent man. But they, just like we don't like the bad rap that Derek Jackson puts on us. Facts. Because he's a consummate liar, and Steve Harvey too. You know what I mean? They're tired of it. People are just, we're tired of getting a bad rap because of the most respected amongst us are proven to be liars. What about those who aren't as respected as they are? There are general assumptions and preemptive strikes because of notions and ideas that we are this way. You know what I mean? And so there are a lot of women to that point that are fed up. There are mothers whose sons live with them because they cannot afford a place and pay child support at the same time. They're paying child support, and the woman's got child support, and she's taking that money, you know, and then she got an old nigga sitting around there, and he ain't doing right by the kids. He hitting the kids. Look at how many kids end up abused or dead. And look who it is. It's the stepfather or the mother's boyfriend. And he driving her car, and he the nigga on the couch every day. But he paying child support, doing the right thing, trying to keep his black ass out of jail. And goddamn it,
and he's saying a McDonald's sandwich just for his son.
Yeah, and look, right.
What a shots fired, goddamn. Shots fired.
And he's staying at his mama house. So you got black mothers that's mad. You got black sisters that's mad. Because they putting money on books for people in Fulton County. Let me tell you something. And if you don't get there about the store open on Tuesday, okay? No. Listen, if you get the money on Wednesday, you can't use it till Tuesday. I'm telling you what's going on. Niggas is trading off choke sandwiches and Skittles if you get them, nigga. You know what I'm saying? And look, I'm going to take it a step further. You know what I'm saying? Look, this is real talk. You got women who are married to men. And the wife, the girlfriend, or the child's mother is doing everything she can do to sabotage their marriage. Do not think that this is just a male issue. And then you got women out here who will get a good stepdad and they just be like, man, fuck it, I'll find another one. Well, good luck to you, man. Go ahead, man. Y'all do y'all thing, man. We get ready to wrap this shit up.
It sounds to me like Bronze's point is even more salient, which is that this is ultimately about sexual discipline. Not having better relationships and not creating all this shit by having all these damn kids with all these crazy ass people.
I'm telling you, because at this point, you know what you're up against. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like the notion that, that there's no culpability whatsoever. Like shit just happens to you. Like we haven't been taught
to not to look at the
How you gonna teach people to
I gotta
fine face and the pretty ass?
I kind of got to respond
I mean, I feel like
to
the
that.
church is a counterpoint.
Yeah, very much so. Because we ain't even gonna get on religion. But I would just say this. If you're a nomad and you come across an area and there's not clean water, you're going to instinctively go find cleaner water. So that's so I mean that can loosely be used as a metaphor when you're talking about the things that you don't know. You have to always seek cleaner water. You got to look around you. I mean you're inundated with television and all of these other influences. You know that there's another life out there. You know that there are other possibilities, but you won't get up off your ass. It's easier to go for low hanging fruit, and then when the shit be rotten, you be like, well, damn. Keep your dick in your pants.
I done got some high hanging fruit and it's been rotten.
It's all a crapshoot at the end of the day. But the point is that when you do, but when you on your square as a man, it's like, hey, it don't affect you as much. When you always fucking with low hanging fruit, you emotional as fuck. When you chasing excellence, that shit don't really faze you. You like, oh well, the shit didn't work out. You know what I'm saying? And that's the real mentality. You know what I'm saying, of a lone wolf out here just getting it. You know what I'm saying?
And that has happened on both sides, it has happened with the women and the men. You know what I'm saying?
Could I go back to one thing just for a second that Larry spoke on? The video on Netflix is called 37 Shots. And the reason why he brought that up is because...
137, my bad.
137, my bad. Okay, I apologize too. Because this black dude just got shot 60 times. They shot at him 90 times. And hit him 60 times. But it's a documentary out there where it's called 137 Shots on Netflix, where they shoot this black man and this black woman because their car backfired. They shot him 137 times. The last cop got up on the hood of the car and shot in the car 48 times and said he was scared for his life. This is something that we really need to address as a people and get down into it. And every time you see these people come up, you keep seeing Benjamin Crump, but we keep losing. We keep losing. I apologize if I offend somebody, but every time you see these certain individuals, and every time we losing, every time all my black men is getting killed, they pop up on the scene, ain't nothing happening.
That assumes they're trying to win.
Hey, real talk. He said that just assumes that they're trying to win. I mean, to me, that's just there's some ambulance chasers. But for real, I like a little 21 Savage just like the next brother. You know what I'm saying? But I'm tired of fucking hearing about killing the ops, and the ops look like you. They be giving out the names of these motherfuckers that be doing this shit. Just real talk on some revolutionary shit. Okay. Stop fucking talking about the shit. You will go into your neighborhood and kill somebody over some dumb shit, but you won't kill the motherfucker who they give you the name of and go hire somewhere else to do the same shit to people that look just like you.
But we ain't got nobody in the communities to teach this, not preach this. And we got somebody to preach to us there.
And that's the whole point of the discussion.
And to go into communities and teach and understand what, you got to be understanding of what you teaching to a child. You can teach a lot of things. Like I was brought up in the Baptist community, I was taught a lot of things. But I didn't understand a lot of things. And that's the whole thing.
Yeah, black people got a habit of telling you, do as I say, not as I do. I ain't got to explain shit to you. But the 80s babies, we the greatest generation, baby. We gonna motherfucking break this shit down for y'all. Trust and believe. We got you.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, Daryl Collins?
Man, I just think it was a great show, great conversation, man. Happy to be a part of it.
Well, we're happy to have you. Justin, you got something you want to say? You chill out.
You know, man. Just
can they hear you?
You know, just protect your peace and make better choices about who you decide to lay down with, and you know, that's it.
Do like Steve Harvey say, take them 90 days to not till you sleep with her to understand who she is. It takes 90 days, and then that before the devil come out.
I think that's very good advice.
That is excellent advice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Yeah. You good?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's all on the table. I think yeah. Love y'all.
Hey, man.
We love you too.
I think Monk gave some pretty good advice. All of this stuff could have been avoided if you just made better decisions. You know what I mean? You wouldn't have to think about all these different kids that this woman has with all these different men if you thought with more than your penis.
Yeah, and if he waited, I'm sure he didn't wait 90 days to smash.
Oh no, he smashed within 36 hours. I believe. I think that's a safe
While I
assumption.
don't believe in projecting stuff, that's probably true.
I said a day and a half, my goddamn. They talked first day.
You cutting a lot of slack there.
And
too.
the next day, it smashed over
the
like
real
an old school Corolla.
The real question is, how many overall hours of interaction were there? It might have taken 36 hours, but like, how many minutes were they actually like talking?
36 hours, he was slow.
He just said, "What's up?" the first day, then the next day,
Yeah, he probably was thinking like, man,
somebody
go ahead.
who would date a woman with a child, man. Like, if I met a woman that got 3 kids,
About 3 different baby daddies.
I'm not gonna take that serious.
That's a red flag. That is a red flag. I wouldn't say no off the rip, but that is definitely a red flag.
That's too many different personalities to have to cope with, man. To try to be with one person, you got kids. Each individual kid plus each kid has a father.
Yeah. Did I say red? I meant burning.
No, each nigga trying to come back.
Yeah.
Each nigga trying to come back and hit.
It's a burning flag.
They trying to come back. You trying to get in. They already there.
All right, so
Okay, maybe it's the Hindenburg.
So I'll say this, yeah. Monk as usual just hits him with Hogan leg drops. You know what I'm saying? But for real, I think this is what I think. I think that the overall consensus is that if you are a black man and you're responsible, you are going to be you're going to have to get involved in the lives of other black children because they need it. And while we believe that we cannot fix this, we may not even be able to fix the whole society. We can look at this from a tribal standpoint. If we can get 1,000 of us and we can go tribal here, and say within this tribe we do things this way, we can do that. That's possible. We don't have to look at changing the world. Things will change and they will come, but if we don't have the tough discussions, then we're not going to get anywhere. So all of my brethren out there, we have a deficiency and a low inventory on good, strong, positive, patriarchal figures, and because of that, you got to step up. East Point, smoke some dank. We'll see you next week.
Call it Paul in the house.
Old National got skanks.
Everybody.
Yeah, that's ultimately the point I was trying to